So, oh yeah, I kind of like relationships like that, where the character is sort of, yeah, like you said, they develop and really adds a lot to the story. Like, Rurouni Kenshin as well is probably an example more people are aware of, because that had a Kenshin in Kuro's relationship, and that kind of developed where Kenshin was just kind of humouring her by staying around, to the point where there's this scene in the manga spoilers where it looks like Kuro is dead, and then Kenshin either goes into the grief-filled journey of self-discovery because he thinks he's failed again. So it kind of just shows the gradual shift about how Kenshin just views Kuro as someone he should try and humor, just be nice to the most important person in his life. So yeah, it's that sort of gradual change that just makes it worthwhile, and especially the ending. Not the anime ending, just for the record, the manga ending, because the anime ending is just absolutely pure crap. Mind you, in my honest opinion, the Rurouni Kenshin anime itself is crap, but that's another rant for the other day. But yeah, in terms of the manga, it's absolutely perfect. I don't want it any other way from it. And I think that's all we can cover in terms of positive reasons.
Well, I could throw in Fire Emblem, but then again, lately, you could pretty much pair anyone with anyone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah, I mean, actually, in terms of Fire Emblem, it kind of worked in stuff like Fire Emblem 7 when it wasn't quite so easy. It was just us, like, pairing with a few females they were compatible with, if that...
Yeah, I think it worked better there, too. But then again, there's something just amazingly intriguing to a person like me who's insane, who in just pairing people with anyone you feel like.
That is true. Actually, the part of me is tempted to do something similar in the Fire Emblem playthrough we were doing on this channel, but yeah, that's something I'll be saving till the other time. Yeah, there are plenty of good couples in fiction, but of course there are also just as many bad ones, so... Okay, I'm gonna regret this, but I'm just going to let Sven off his leash now and let go of the restraints and...
My thanks, Jonin. I appreciate it. Okay, I skipped over one of the big two for exactly this reason, because this is kind of a sort of essay I've been working on in my head since I first got into Bleach. I mentioned how I love relationships that develop the characters involved, that allow the characters to have strength and inspiration and a reason to go forward. Then there are pairings like Ichigo and Orihime. Freaking rage. I swear, it's bad enough that Ichigo keeps everyone around him from developing, but this is the worst case scenario, people. Every single useless moment Orihime has in the entire series can be blamed on Ichigo. I swear to God.
Oh, jeez, yeah. It was especially apparent during the whole Hueco Mundo arc. That just was really...
God almighty, yes! I mean, going back to calm, collected mode for a moment, total, there are about 3 pairings for Orihime and the entire thing that remotely work. One is Ulquiorra, which is admittedly quite a stretch, but hey, I'm not complaining about the fact that they actually, developed each other, kind of. Then there's Uryu, who actually brings out the fact that, Orihime has a brain.
Yeah.
And then these 2 pairings end with this slope straight downhill with Ichigo. It's just freaking ridiculous! I've been raging about this since April 2009 when I first got into the series. It's driven me nuts since.
Yeah. I understand it as well, especially since... I know I mentioned the Hueco Mundo arc, but that was kind of the low point where practically every single battle Orihime was moping saying, it's my fault, oh no! For God's sake, it was Ichigo's fault, he's the idiot who keeps bringing himself into them.
Yeah, basically just that. Good friggin' God! This pairing drives me insane! And it doesn't help that the friggin' fan base for it is absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Just look on fanfiction.net for these people. You will regret it, but at the same time, you will get a life lesson on what not to be.
Yeah. So yeah, now that we've let that little firestorm out.
Yeah, just wow. I mean, seriously. I'm just glad that pretty much the newest arc just seems to be killing all prospects of this pairing ever happening. Even though Orihime still has some fantasies about it, it's pretty much Rukia.
I do agree. Orihime's been slowly getting better, but actually, I can now bring something slightly different to this discussion, because you mentioned how you hated the parents where essentially one character ends up getting, well, neutered, for lack of a better term, at the expense of another to make the whole pairing work.
Yeah.
In my case, I hate this thing that keeps happening during relationships, and it drives me up the wall. There are so many examples I can name, I just feel like stamping things into the ground. Okay, I'm going to illustrate with a brief little example. Now, I have several, but I'm going to go with one that's not anime and manga, just so it has a variety. I don't know if any of you have heard of a series called Bones. It's this kind of forensic science investigation kind of thing. And admittedly, some of the forensics bit was kind of iffy, especially since they use holograms sometimes to explain their points. But it was pretty fine. I mean, it had like a series of all characters who were fun to watch, and they all went for their own development. It was fine. It was really good and everything. And there was this one two-parter which drove me so mad I gave up watching the series, because one part that had been starting was this relationship between two of the main characters. Between Hodgins and, I forget her name now, so I'm just going to say Amanda, and if it's not that, then I'm just going to basically insert it in post-production, for the sake of humour. Now, oh yeah, there was been cute little relationship in between Hodgins and Amanda. It developed and been developing their characters, very sweet, and it was going somewhere, all that topic. Now, there was this big subplot that it couldn't go anywhere because, oh crap, I remember who it was now. Angela, that was she was called, yeah.
Good thing you didn't have to annotate that.
Yeah, close. Okay, so, there was this whole thing where there's this guy that Angela had married where she was drunk and it was in Hawaii or something like that. So, yeah, they couldn't go through their own marriage. And then, during this two-parter, the first part it centers on Angela's husband, who they had trouble tracking down throughout an entire season, coming back, and basically it started this whole confrontation between him and Hodgins, and then it kind of ends with this sort of lesson. One of the characters, who is a psychologist, kind of points out that the reason why Hodgins gets sort of angry and picking fights with him is because he thinks he has to impress Angela to get her love. There's this cute moment where Angela kisses Hodgins in the middle of the street and then says, look, I'll always love you, man, no matter what. There's no need for all this tension. And then, meanwhile, Angela's husband watches on, and then this weird, a background thing goes on, like a flock of birds goes up, and then he kind of just goes off and alright, I give up, the universe speaks fine, I'll give up the divorce, etc. There's this really cute, sweeping moment, and it looks like they're finally going to get married, and the relationship will be... Hold on. Then part 2 comes along, and out of freaking nowhere, literally as they're driving the guy to the airport, one of the other female characters decides to have sex with him. This raises a whole load of tension, even though it's made perfectly clear in the first part that it shouldn't be an issue at all. And then, whilst they're all getting over their tension, the two of them suddenly turn to us and go, what happened? Oh, I guess we don't trust each other. Then I suppose it just wasn't to be. We just couldn't make that final step and trust each other, etc. And the relationship just ended there. So, literally, in the space of 2 episodes, one of which had possibly a crowning moment of heartwarming, you just get this complete arsepull that kills the relationship with an issue that, again, was solved in the first part. There was no need to bring it up. It's just... ugh.
That's just terrible. Thanks for letting me know why never to watch that series.
Yeah, well, actually, the series was good up until that point, honestly. I mean... it's part of the reason why I can never watch Bones anymore, apart from the first 2 seasons where they didn't bring it up, because if I ever watch season 3 onwards where I see either two together, all I've got in the back of my mind is, it's gonna end with a big arse pull.
Yeah, again, that's just bad.
Yeah, the main issue I have, where just something just prevents the relationship from regressing, or just outright kills it, for no good reason other than the writer thinks there's no drama. I mean... Friends did that constantly. When I used to watch it as a kid, because, yeah, I didn't have anything better to do. Well, I watched Friends as a kid, the same thing would happen every single time. Oh, there's a nice parent, it looks like they'll be progressing somewhere. Bam! Episode! Bad misunderstanding, or just some terrible, terrible excuse for why it all has to go to cock, and we can just forget about that pairing. Even if it was the relationship between the main characters that happened, I swear, Monica and Chandler were the only 2 characters who had a relationship and did not have a massive breakup in the middle of it.
Yeah, actually, It's funny you mentioned that because I've actually watched that show again. I was a kid and had nothing better to do. And I noted the same thing. And even at age, 9, I thought it was ridiculous.
I mean, don't get me whole start of the Ross and Rachel thing. That was just ridiculous. Every single season they would bring it up and then some stupid thing would come in to interrupt it, including the whole "we were on a break" crap, which is just...
Yeah, it's just... don't.
Yeah, I mean, that joke wasn't even funny the first time they used it. It was perfectly clear that, I'm sorry folks, Rachel was in the wrong throughout the entire situation. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's kind of the whole thing. Friends does it. I mean, Rama one half, oh god, that was the worst culprit for it. And it started off as kind of cool. It had like this interesting central relationship and, well, hit and miss humor, I'll be honest, for reasons I'll get into. And some creative fight sequences, so it was all really, really great. But then I gave up when I realised two things. One, the main couple was never going to go anywhere because the same crap happened over and over and over again. I mean, the couple never went anywhere. Sure, there were nice moments, like when Rama actually put his life on the line for Kane or just said something nice to her, etc., etc., etc. But then, because apparently in Rama's head, to be a man, you have to be a complete and utter git, he would then say something to offend her, she would then punch him, and then we'd go back to square one.
God.
Yeah. To be honest, Rama House's main source of comedy is Rama saying something rude and Akane punching him. That's it. Repeat it for 5 freaking seasons. That's it.
Thanks once again for telling me a series never to watch.
Yeah. And on top of all that, what made it even worse is that Ramahav continuously insists on bringing in character after character after character for no other reason than to create another pairing. The entirety of Ramahav's cast are either there to be a love rival for Akane or a love rival for Rama. There's like only one, and that's because he's a love rival for another character. It's...
God almighty, that's a whole series full of shit.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, all the relationships suffer from the same problem. Even if one guy does something nice for the other, it never goes anywhere. Even when it's clearly a one-sided thing, or just something where the person looks psychotic and they shouldn't deserve or get any sympathy, they still play the weeping music and have them go all teary-eyed, and then Rama starts looking depressed about it just to keep the parent alive, even when there's no freaking...
I'm running out of ways to describe how bad that is.
Yeah, I could tolerate it until about season 4 when they introduced yet another character who had a crush on Rama when they were a child, and I just thought, okay, that's it, I am freaking done.
Well, thankfully I don't have to have that moment because you've just made me done before I even started.
Yeah, even now I have problems recommending Rama Half, I'm sorry fans, but...